Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
First of all, I want to make a disclaimer that sign behind us is not off the jw.org website, so we are not infringing upon anyone's copyright on that. We made
Yes.
it ourselves.
And if you hear any familiar voices or names in the following clips, it is purely by coincidence.
Yes. And we want to thank everybody. Welcome to our new subscribers, and thank everybody so much for your emails and comments and the audio recordings and videos you have been sending us from all over the world. We really appreciate that. And that is where our clips come from. Not from the official jw.org website,
right.
but from individuals who own these recordings and have gotten them, themselves and have sent them to us. So we are not violating anyone's copyright.
That's right. And just so that all of our subscribers know, we actually received this particular clip back in the end of July.
I think it was a service meeting part from July 31st.
Yeah, and it's really taken us this long to get to this video because we've just been so inundated with emails and comments and and everything else, trying to get our website built and just everything that's been involved. But we got a pretty good one here, folks. It's enough to get me riled.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to get Mikey his M&Ms.
Yeah. Now, if you watched the last video, you all heard me say that Kim's put me on a diet. Well, I have to go back to the small M&Ms. See, the diet didn't exclude eating the chocolate. It was just
the amount. No more mega M&Ms, and he's limited to a little tiny container.
Well, the thing is deer season is around the corner, and I got to get in shape to do some hiking. So,
yeah.
So anyhow, what's the subject today, there, dear?
Okay, so this was right before school started, and they were doing a service meeting part. And I think what we're going to do, Mikey, is we're going to put the entire talk at the end of this video so that you can hear the entire part, and know that we are not taking this out of context. You can hear it from beginning to end.
And I think the talk's only like
10 minutes
long, or something like that.
Because, we wouldn't want to be accused of taking things out of context,
too. Heaven forbid if we take anything out of context, Watchtower. Good Lord.
Yeah. But what this is covering is, when we heard this, is like, oh my God. As a parent myself, I would have never allowed a website to parent my child and teach my kid. Yeah. I would have never done this for Shiloh.
And, all of us Jehovah Witness parents know that when the internet first was growing and becoming popular, and everybody had computers in their house now, and everybody went, I gotta, browse the internet, I gotta see what's on the internet, blah, blah, blah. You remember how much Watchtower spoke against doing that. And in fact, I even remember articles that implanted the idea that brothers and sisters, don't let these websites babysit your children. And yet now, them bunch of yokels are encouraging you, knuckleheads, whatever. Just within the first 2 minutes of this talk, you'll hear exactly what this elder says. And just his words are implanting the idea now of letting jw.org babysit your kids. And that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I would not let jw.org parent my kid, especially some of the things they're going to cover in this. And the biggest thing is, we see this elder.
He's just helping jw.org shovel the bullshit. That's all these elders are doing. There again, you'll hear, we're going to put the whole part up at the end so you can hear everything and see exactly how the mind manipulating is working. In fact, even at one point, one of the sisters that this brother calls on to give a comment, you can hear her words, well, I'm there right now. Basically is what she says. So during the talk, she's on her iPad or whatever she's got, and she's on jw.org at that very minute. You know what I see coming down the road? Maybe 2, 3, 4 years from now, heaven forbid if we're still in the system by then, I see the entire meeting system coming directly from jw.org.
Yeah. In fact, that reminds me, what you were just saying is My Plastic Microphone has a new video that we were just watching yesterday. Good job. Love you, dude. That is great because it shows, who was the governing body
one of the
member?
governing body members was
Giving
giving
a
a
talk.
talk.
And
Yes.
he says, in the Bible, and he opens it up, and it's like, wait a tick, that's not a Bible, that's an iPad.
That's an iPad. He says, in the Bible. So he opens up his iPad, and he starts reading right from the iPad. My goodness. This is just getting so far out left field that I don't know whether we should be doing videos on this crap anymore or not, because it just doesn't make sense no more. Nothing makes sense.
Well, that's why we're here, just to mock.
Oh, I forgot my intention. That's right. We're here to mock and get fat eating M&Ms. So, shall we get to the first clip there, honey?
Yes, let's do.
Well, the faithful slave is advising us to rely on our printed material, but also very heavily on our website, jw.org.
Okay, the faithful and discreet slave encouraged. I thought they weren't the faithful and discreet slave until Christ comes back and appoint them.
Give them their second appointment. Apparently, he didn't get that memo. But did you hear what this elder said? Rely very heavily on jw.org. In other words, let jw.org babysit and teach your kids all the facts of life. Well, I only have one rebuttal to that. Can you imagine letting something so precious as this sitting in front of the computer watching jw.org and all the Caleb videos? I mean, how could I possibly ever let my child have such an influence? Life is precious. Let jw.org direct your life.
Control your life is more like it.
My God, well, it even gets worse.
This is a great theocratic tool to help our kids learn to just say no.
jw.org and their website is a theocratic tool to just say no.
Jehovah's Witnesses, parents, what about this theocratic tool?
True.
But at the bottom of the opening page, every time you call up jw.org, are 3 color bars. They're divided up into groups. In the case of earlier today, it was couples and parents.
Really hate to correct my brother, but now when you go to jw.org, the first thing that greets you is this copyright notice. So jw.org is ever changing to meet the demands of...
There's not colored bars saying children, teenagers, couples anymore. No, it's a pink bar that threatens, any copyright infringement.
Copyright.
Yeah.
There was a quote, and it says, this was from a kid, when you cave into peer pressure, you become like a mindless robot because you allow other people to control you. Why let them have that kind of power?
Okay. Now, Mikey, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the same recording, the same meeting? Okay, now this is the service meeting. Isn't this the same recording where we just did the video that was taken from the book study?
Yes. Let me remind everybody what was said during the book study. Now, this is the same meeting night.
July 31st.
During the book study, we did this in the previous video. Now, keep in mind what we're going to mock here. This young person said, mindless robots want nobody to control us. But just an hour earlier, draw close to Jehovah. Page 97, chapter 10, paragraph 3. Hence, we do have power, at least a measure of it. Our power may include the capacity to accomplish things, to work, the possession of control or authority over others, the ability to influence others. What? I mean, how in the hell can these knuckleheads, who schedules this stuff? You schedule a meeting where you say you have power and the ability to influence others. And then that same very night, you're encouraging all your young kids to go to jw.org, and then you quote this little kid, we don't want anybody to have control over us, but yet that's exactly what you're doing. Who in the hell schedules these meetings and have two conflicting thoughts on the same very night? No wonder Jehovah's Witnesses have to go to happy pills. God, this is infuriating me.
Maybe that's why they're confusionists.
That's why they're confusionists. Exactly.
Maybe I shouldn't let him see the next clip then.
No, I mean, it's just, honestly, do you see how flippin' ridiculous this is? Within 1 hour, they claim they have the power to influence others, and then they've got a part on jw.org, and they're quoting this little kid how he doesn't want to be influenced by people, and they're mindless robots. My God.
Kids, you are sitting there and being mindless robots by listening to this crap.
Exactly.
Stafford.
One of the big ones, obviously, because I have high school and junior high age children, is dating. And then sex, premarital sex, always comes up in conversation. And the website not only provides the Young People Asked articles, which are absolutely superb, but another feature that they have are the worksheets, which are downloadable and printable, so that the children can put together their answers, their biblical answers, and role play and pre-prepare before those conversations come up. And I really love that feature. It has been a lifesaver.
Great.
I'm sorry. If Shyla was of this age, I would not allow the website to teach her about sex and dating and all of that. It's like, that's my job.
Well,
I'm not handing it over.
No. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're familiar with this book, Questions Young People Ask. Oh, Mikey has a question.
Mikey has a question?
Mikey's got a question. Page 237. How can I keep my mind off of sex? Now, reading...
I think that's what she was talking about, too. How she's so thankful. All of these articles are on jw.org and can help.
So, obviously when the young Jehovah's Witness is reading through this chapter on how can I keep my mind off of sex, they talk about shunning immoral entertainment. They talk about masturbation, the problems with masturbation, and of course they cite some things that are helpful.
Controlling your thoughts.
Controlling your thoughts, and that actually, controlling your thoughts, is actually the last subheading. Controlling your thoughts. Now, look at what Watchtower cleverly does. Okay, so they have all this helpful information on
keeping your mind off sex.
How can I keep my mind off of... Yeah, see, my mind's in the gutter right now, so anyhow, I have a hard time keeping my mind off of sex. Well, damn it, I've been married long enough. I can think about these things. Now, we all know that in the real world, okay, Jehovah's Witnesses, just pay attention for just a minute. In the real world, a lot of people view sex, especially when you're younger, as a recreational object. Okay? So in
pastime?
This pastime, whatever. I'm just trying to help Jehovah's Witnesses realize what's taking place in this particular book. How can I keep my mind off of sex? And then the very last subheading.
Well, obviously, even at 53, you can't.
I know it. You see what you got to deal with, Jehovah's Witnesses? Okay, controlling your thoughts. That's the last subheading. Then the very next chapter, chapter 8, is entitled Recreation. Okay? Now, you just got done reading through this book, talking about the problems with masturbation and all of this sex and all this stuff, and then they go right into recreation. The very next chapter in Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of people in the world use sex as a recreational form.
Dating is a recreation.
But turn to page 248. What they have there is a little cartoon character, and it's a woman, a young child, I guess. Look at how her legs are spread. And look at where the page thumb tab is at. It's pointing right to the genital area. How is that going to teach your kid to keep their mind off of sex, that within 2 or 3 pages, here's a cartoon character with the legs spread and a pointer to the genital area? Do you see what Watchtower is doing to screw up your children's mind? Recreation. Remember, this is under recreation.
And playing video games.
And now right here is this person, character, with the leg spread, with a black thumb tab, a pointer to the genital area. That contradicts what Watchtower is saying in the previous chapter, because a picture like that does not keep your mind off of sex. In fact, what a picture like that does in the subheading of recreation, it instills these thoughts that, hey, sex is fun for recreation.
It's saying, hey, look here.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm begging you, throw this crap away, because it's working against you as a parent.
Yep.
From one parent, from 2 parents to another. Honestly.
I like how you slid in another subliminal image there.
Oh, did you like how I slid
like
in that subliminal image? It works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. One chapter they talk about masturbation is wrong, and then in 2 or 3 pages over, here's this girl with the leg spread with a thumb pointer right to the crotch. Oh yeah, it really works good, Watchtower.
Yeah. And they think we're too dumb to notice.
Exactly.
I really love that feature. It has been a lifesaver.
Okay, we just replayed the end of the sister's comment because we wanted to bring out something, and Mikey's kind of rant.
Do you, Jehovah's Witnesses, utterly see what's taking place in the comments of this sister? She is willingly surrendering her own God-given authority to raise her child to jw.org. And I've made this comment in another video. Jehovah's Witnesses, you sit in your kingdom halls and you read something like from 2 Kings 23:10, where it talks about making your sons and daughters pass through the fires of Moloch. And you say, God, how could those Israelites been so misled, so blinded as to let their kids pass through the fires of Moloch? But you don't stop and realize you're doing the same flipping thing with jw.org. Oh, I am so glad for jw.org, because they're helping me pass my children through the fire. I mean, they're helping me raise my children to be good, honest.
They're lifesavers.
You don't understand, Jehovah's Witnesses, how you have been manipulated to do the same very things that the Israelites have done 4,000 or 5,000 years ago in history. Just because this is modern day, you don't think that the human mind can be manipulated in such a way? Listen to that comment again. This sister is surrendering her authority over her children and just handing it to jw.org, Moloch, on a silver platter. Start waking up. My God.
Yeah. You know, and I'm sure parents don't have time to go through every single thing that is in the children and teenagers section of this website. Do you even know everything that is in there?
Implicitly trusting Moloch is what you're doing.
Just like just like hearing Jehovah's Witnesses had no idea that the deaf masturbation video was in the ASL section.
Yeah.
They had no idea until it was someone of the XJW community that brought this to the attention, and then of course it was plastered all over the place. Yeah. And last I checked, it was down off the website again. But see, that's the point, is you don't know exactly what they are teaching your kids and what they're implanting in these young minds.
But you're so willing to surrender your God-given authority over your children to these bunch of knuckleheads.
Sad.
It's disgusting.
Well, we hope you have all enjoyed the service meeting part as much as we have. It's been very entertaining for us. I know that.
Oh, well, yeah, it's probably made my blood pressure go up a couple more points. Jehovah's Witnesses, honestly, I don't know any words that could help you realize the predicament you're in, but I don't know. Maybe Philippians 4:5 might help. Just simply states this: let your reasonableness become known to all men. The Lord is near. Honestly, Jehovah's Witnesses, how could you reasonably conclude that a website can do a better job in raising your own children than you? Are you really going to surrender your God-given right to raise your children as you see fit and let somebody like jw.org, who is now on a website, raise your children? Is that reasonable to think that way? If it's not reasonable, then please go with your gut feeling. Don't be afraid to contact Kim and I personally. At the end of all of our videos, and when you go to the YouTube screen, up at the top, there's an About tab. Click on that About tab and send a personal message to Kim and I.
It may take a little bit for us to answer,
yeah,
but we will.
But we are more than willing to help you. I've been a Jehovah's Witness for 42 years. Kim's been one for 50. We know the struggles that you're going through. But please do not surrender your child's life over to jw.org, because I'm going to tell you right now, no good is going to come from it. Believe me, no good can come from this.
Yeah, and as a mom, I know several Jehovah's Witnesses, including some of our family members, and we're constantly hearing stories how even elders are in denial and will not admit that there is a child abuse problem within this organization. Okay, so if the organization, whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you, but there's too many reports and court documents and everything to prove that there is a problem within your organization on the abuse problem. Do you really want these same men who are protecting these pedophiles to be teaching your children?
Yeah. It's not reasonable to conclude, is it, Jehovah's Witnesses? It's not reasonable to think that you're going to hand the education of your child over to an organization that is at the same time protecting pedophiles and child abusers. That's not reasonable. So think about it. Honestly think about it and look at the motives behind what jw.org is really trying to do. They're trying to control every aspect, not only of your adult life, but every aspect of your child who is at a very impressionable age at this point.
Yeah, and if you listen to the full part, we didn't add it in because we didn't have much to say about it, but there is a young sister that talks about the horrible peer pressure for her friends want her to come to a birthday party saying how much fun it's going to be, and yet they don't realize, they just don't know that, these birthday parties in the Bible, that's only two, of something bad happened at them. Look at all of the other, people on the earth at that time, and they don't talk about their birthday parties, but to use something like that against birthday parties,
it's not reasonable.
Yeah, we've celebrated a few birthday parties now, and there hasn't been one beheading.
My head's still on my shoulders. God hasn't struck me dead.
Yeah.
He's not going to, and I'll tell you why, Jehovah's Witnesses. Because of the sacrifice of Christ. If you believe that, Jehovah's Witnesses, I know you believe this, that if you celebrate a pagan holiday, God's going to kill you. If you don't think that the sacrifice of Christ can cover that, then you don't know the power of that ransom sacrifice. You're in denial about how powerful and how strong that sacrifice truly is.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Yep. We hope you all are having a great weekend, and we're going to get back to work.
Bye.
So parents, are you prepared for the new school year? We see it in the news, don't we? We see shootings, drugs, gangs, kids having sex in the bathroom, even physical relationships between kids and students. It's a lot for young ones to be scared about, and for us parents too, isn't it? So are you prepared for the school year? Well, the Faithful Slave is advising us to rely on our printed material, but also very heavily on our website, jw.org. This is a great theocratic tool to help our kids learn to just say no to Satan's system, to that world out there. So right now on the site, actually a few hours ago, either I lost my internet connection or they changed the site. And thankfully they do that frequently. They keep it fresh. But at the bottom of the opening page, every time you call up jw.org, are 3 color bars. They're divided up into groups. In the case of earlier today, it was couples and parents or adults, teenagers, and children. So, but it's always 2 out of 3 that are those younger people. So what can we learn from that, from the slave putting that much emphasis on the opening page of its website? Quite a bit, I think. So earlier today, in the topic under teenagers, this was one of our main concerns in our family study last night we were talking about was how do kids resist peer pressure? Now, we all endure it, even adults, but especially kids. They're vulnerable to that. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a summary of how you can go through the website to dig deeper and deeper into a subject and to related subjects that you can help your kids learn how to deal with, in this case, peer pressure. When you tap on that headline at the bottom of the opening page, a video comes up on a following page. We know that kids are very visually oriented now, aren't they? And what a great way for kids to see and put themselves in that character in the video, put them in their place. And the text also is very beneficial for kids. In this case, when I opened the page, How to Resist Peer Pressure, under the video, there was a quote, and it says, this was from a kid, when you cave into peer pressure, you become like a mindless robot because you allow other people to control you. Why let them have that kind of power? And then it refers to Romans 6:16. I'll let you look that up on your own. Another one, peer pressure can make good people do bad things. And of course, it refers to 1 Corinthians 15:33, which talks about bad associations spoil useful habits. Then along the right side, at least in the tablet form, you can see related articles. And you know how kids will ask one question and then another and another. This website's really made to go that route with them and to expand on their questions. In this case, one of the related articles was how to resist temptation. And again, there are paragraphs there to remind our children that they're not alone in how they feel. If we think back, how did we feel as kids? A lot of times we feel like, oh, no one can be in this predicament. No one can have these kind of temptations. Well, these are great reminders. And there are quotes on that page. Everyone's vulnerable to temptation, even adults. What can you do? And it gives you great tips. Know your weaknesses. Anticipate temptation. Strengthen your convictions. Find supportive friends. Avoid circumstances that make temptation harder to resist. And maybe most important, pray for help. Pray to Jehovah. So that was just one challenge that we looked at last night in our family study. What about you? What are some challenges you've faced with your children, some concerns, and how did you find theocratic information to help you? Sister Creek.
I think that we found that really trying to develop friendships and relationships with other children has been a challenge, and so also finding out that not everyone is your friend, because when you're younger, everyone's your friend. Toby thinks everyone's his friend, but we've been looking at the website, the Blackboard illustrations on how to beat a bully without using your fist, and how to make real friends. And these two will watch that video forever. They just like to watch one video after the other, but it's so good because it gives such good points on how to realize that not everyone will be your friend, because not everyone has your best interest in heart, but the website is just great with that.
Yeah, a lot of great animation on the website. Brother Creek.
I like the videos of the good examples that they have on the website, and they'll show, because like they have one about what will I do with my life, or the happiest thing I could do with my life, something like that. And it shows somebody that rather than choosing what many would consider like money or fame or fortune, something like that, she chose to go serve in another country and share the Bible's message with those people. So it gives people and young ones something good to look at.
Yeah. Sister, lost my memory today. I'm sorry. Stafford.
One of the big ones, obviously, because I have high school and junior high age children, is dating. And then sex, premarital sex, always comes up in conversation. And the website not only provides the Young People Asked articles, which are absolutely superb, but another feature that they have are the worksheets, which are downloadable and printable, so that the children can put together their answers, their biblical answers, and role play and pre-prepare before those conversations come up. And I really love that feature. It has been a lifesaver.
Great. Anyone else? Sister Blackwell.
And even though you're talking a lot about the website, and as Sister Stafford just pointed out, that a lot of that is on Young People Ask is on the website too, but it's just the range of what they talk about, because we talk about all sorts of different issues, from different activities to I was just pulling this up here about sex, morals, and love, and just all the wide variety of it, so that you can really answer or let the kids themselves go on there and look themselves, so they don't have to be embarrassed about asking something. They can even find it themselves, because it's so easy for them to get into.
Yeah, I thought that was really, I was reminded of what a loving provision that is about dating. We're all reminded to date with serious intent, with marriage in mind, but there were two parts I was reminded of on the website, that's also in the Young People Ask book, is what if that relationship turns out to be wrong, and the polite and the proper way to break that relationship off. And that's what an acknowledgement that we're all imperfect, we all make mistakes. Maybe it's time to turn things around in a relationship and cut that off. Any other challenges? Ella.
My hardest peer pressure that I face at school is when people invite me to their birthday parties, because they tell you how fun it's going to be, and they are good friends of mine that I don't want to say no to, but sometimes it can be hard picking sides with Jehovah. But my parents taught me that the only birthdays mentioned in the Bible, bad things happen, so we know that Jehovah doesn't want us to celebrate them.
Exactly. Sister.
I also looked into the Young People Ask part, and it was showing that video of like chubby and too thin and too short and too tall and personal appearance. And so people, both girls and boys of different ages, deal with that, even adults these days. So just looking at stuff like that, I remember we did that for family worship. It really helps you, because you're not the only one that has too much of this or too little of that.
Very good. Well, thank you for all the comments. Just remember that website is a tremendous resource. As someone said, you cannot break the internet. You cannot break your computer just by tapping on a subject. So don't be afraid to use the search on there. Tap that magnifying glass and type in a topic. You'll be surprised at how many different articles and scripture will come up to help you in your search. Well, thank you, and let's give our attention to